Dr. Yamane's is more what Ishiro Honda envisioned. That is, Ishiro Honda is envisioning that mankind will lead to their own destruction. Because, like all of his films, every single part about the original Gojira is just full of metaphor and allegory.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that score is just incredible.
Right.
I mean, yeah, wow. And seeing Godzilla rise up out of the water in pain is also very memorable.
Yeah, that roar is really spine-chilling.
Yeah.
Where he pops up out of the ocean for the last time.
Yeah, and it's a Godzilla roar we heard later in King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Right.
And it's a long, drawn-out, almost hollow, haunting roar, almost ghostly. It's really just an incredible ending to a film, and it was kind of him saying, "I don't want to see any sequels, of course," but you know, we got a whole series out of it. But at least on its own, it's just an incredible film, an incredible end to a film. And Dr. Serizawa's death. I want to talk about that for a moment. Dr. Serizawa is great because he's so mysterious. And because he's so mysterious, we find him more interesting as a character. And the fact that he's such a tragic character, that he thinks that the world is so dark, so bleak, that in his mind, like I said, it's a lose-lose situation. We can be destroyed by this thing I've created, the Oxygen Destroyer, or this thing that we as a race have created, Godzilla. And in the end, he decides to take out both at the same time. And unfortunately, that means he has to take his own life. It's dark. It's not really depressing, I wouldn't say. It's dark, though. And it's bleak, it's tragic, but it's the only way it could end. Dr. Serizawa is one of my favorite characters in all of cinema. He's tragic, and that's awesome. And, just wow. And that when he drops the Oxygen Destroyer, it's one of the most iconic images of, in my entire, history with cinema, is just him deploying that weapon. That's all I have to say on the matter. It's just fantastic, fantastic ending to a film.
Yeah, and I just love it when they pull up, Ogata's like pull the line up, and when they pull it up, you see that it's been cut.
Yeah.
And suddenly they just all get it, and they stop and take off their hats.
Yeah.
And again, Ishiro Honda's mastery at work. I think they did that for a reason too.
Respect to the dead.
Because not only that, but I think it's because if we don't honor the past, we will repeat it.
Yes, and that's the metaphor with Godzilla, and that's the whole metaphor with that final narration you brought up. Is we keep using this bomb, we're gonna create another one of these things, and it's never gonna end. Yeah,
because. You really get the sense that all these characters are just absolutely devastated by just what happened, by what just happened.
Yeah, and going back to Ocarina of Time for a second, that last strike, when they bring up the line and it shows it's cut, it almost feels like we feel the blow to the characters.
Yeah, I have it on my iPod, and I listen to it, and I get chills up my spine.
Yeah.
Every single time I listen to it.
It's just that one done when they see that the line is cut, that hits us as hard as it's hitting them. It's just an incredible scene.
And I love the fact that even Emiko is in love with Ogata, but yet she's still in love with this with Dr. Serizawa. When the line is pulled up, she just falls into Ogata's arms.
Yeah,
which I think is almost a good thing, because I think Serizawa by the end would have wanted that.
Yeah, be happy together. Farewell.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
And there was one scene that was cut. It was never shot.
Oh yeah, with them flying with the helicopter.
Yeah, and they dropped the reef into the water.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they.
No, I agree too. But it would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than a DVD bonus feature.
So I guess we could go on to the honorable mentions. I have 5. We picked 5 honorable mentions. Which these are. We could have done top 15, but I thought that would have been too confusing. So we did.
Yeah.
So we did honorable mentions, which these are scenes that are good, that stick out in our minds, but just weren't quite good enough to make the top 10. So, how about you start with this time?
Alright, I'm going to start out with an unusual one that doesn't involve Godzilla again. I think GMK is an amazing horror movie. And one of the scenes that embodies it for me is Baragon's first appearance. Wow, that scene is so eerily shot, so spooky. With it's at night, all the lights dim, all those motorcycle guys just fall in that tunnel, and that truck guy sees Baragon come out of the tunnel there, and it's so dark and so scary that we can't make out exactly what it is. And unless you're a Godzilla fan, or just I guess a TOHO fan would be more suitable to say, you don't know what it is. And Baragon just looks so scary. And it kind of reminds me of the shot from Frankenstein Conquers the World where you see his head in the hole. And he looks frightening, he looks intimidating. As the guy says, the Red Godzilla. And again, like you said, the score also helps. It's a very haunting score. Very scary scene. And the Godzilla series was never a horror series. And that scene sold that it could work as a horror film to me.
Yeah, I mean, that scene is I did like that scene, and again, it shows people dying in that scene.
Right, exactly. Which GMK was very good at doing.
Yes, GMK was. Especially where Godzilla slams his tail against the building.
Yeah.
And that poor little girl, or that poor girl on the. Yeah.
That was when they really sold me on Godzilla is this evil creature in that movie, because she thinks she's safe, and then the tail slaps.
Yeah, and I know, as I said, this is my second favorite Godzilla movie. I just plain old love this movie. I love Godzilla's metaphor. I love all the monsters' metaphors. This film is just great, and it's full of little moments like that just really make the film.
Yeah. So your first honorable mention.
My first honorable mention is the final airstrike against Godzilla on Godzilla Raids Again. I really like that. That is actually one of the reasons why I do appreciate that film. The fight scene with the jets causing an avalanche to bury Godzilla is awesome. And it's a really clever idea. Just that image of Godzilla slowly being consumed by ice is awesome. Especially like his last roar, where suddenly, and I think they stole it on Gamera versus Baragon and Gamera versus Gauss, where suddenly you see Godzilla being buried alive and he's breathing in his atomic breath trying to melt out, but it covers over his head. It's too late, and you slowly see his atomic breath fade away. It's just a great scene. There's plenty of great explosions. The scene is intense enough that I found myself actually sort of glued to the screen watching it. Especially with the fact that if they didn't lift up at the right moment that they would crash into the side of the mountain, and a few do. I thought that was cool as well. Even though they're all drunk while doing this. Anyways, I
also love the character Kobayashi.
I did like him. He's really a well-developed character in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
And his death is tragic.
Yes.
But it opens the window for a way to stop this horrible, horrible monster.
Exactly. Again, I don't love that movie. I do appreciate it. And as I read in one analysis of those two films as kind of a two-parter kind of thing, whereas the original Gojira is the bombing of Hiroshima, Godzilla's counterattack is the bombing of Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't necessarily get that out of myself, but I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. That maybe it wasn't quite. I mean, the bombing of Hiroshima was really the one that hit that country the hardest.
Right.
And Nagasaki, kind of like Osaka, is a little more of a rural country. Yeah, that is a great scene, though. Very fun.
Yeah. Some great visual effects, too. Some great aerial photography of Godzilla and the jets.
Yeah, that is true.
Way better than the jet scenes on the original Gojira.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's true.
Yeah.
mention is Godzilla's first appearance in 1984. When we see, well, we were talking about this earlier, when that security guard falls and there's just that slow pan up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did love that. And the music slowly builds up.
Yeah, and then we get one of my favorite Godzilla roars is that really growly, monstrous roar.
Yeah, that's my all-time favorite Godzilla roar, is a growly one.
Yeah, it's
because it truly sounds ferocious.
I also like how Godzilla's eyes almost look dead when we cut up to his face. He's not even really looking at the guy.
Yeah.
He almost looks like he's just a walking machine. And that was kind of the whole point of that movie.
Because they do that on the original, too.
Yes.
It's like, as I said in our Godzilla chat, he shows no emotion.
Right, exactly.
Except pure rage. Exactly.
And again, that suit, and it's funny because it's the one that you have as your Skype ID image. And I'm looking at it now, it's the closest they ever got to recapturing the look of the original. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It is. I mean, GMK also got pretty close, but this was even closer. Yeah, I love that suit. 84 suit's like my... it's right up there with my favorite suits. Out of all of the scenes, though, with like a mechanical animatronic, this one is my favorite because I really love how they get Godzilla to like snarl a lot. Yeah. I like the image of Godzilla snarling. So your number 4 honorable mention. My number 4 is also from Godzilla 84, but it's the death of Godzilla. If for some reason it just didn't work the same way on me as it did you. I mean, I still really like that scene, but it didn't work on me quite as good. The reason why it's on there is because of that image of Godzilla peering up over, he's coming out of the ocean and peering up over the cliff and slowly climbing up the mountain. I really love that shot. And Godzilla's scream when he's falling into, the volcano, as the music builds up with it, is pretty awesome. Which I have to say, if anybody came close to imitating Akira Ifukube, it was the guy who did the score for this movie. I once knew his name, and now I forget. Yeah, I forget his name, too. I once knew his name. I had to write it in when I did my research paper for Godzilla last year for English, I had to write down the composer because I bring him up in the piece. I forget his name, though. Shit. I keep saying Richiro Manabe, but no, he did the music for Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Yeah. Oh well. I want to bring up one last thing about 84, because I don't know if you're going to bring it up later in honorable mentions, are you? I'm bringing up 84 later, yeah. Oh, let me just say this one last thing real quick. One shot that I like in particular, some of the scenes I didn't want to bring up here, one particular shot I love is that shot of Godzilla looking devilish over a destroyed building and there's that red glow on his body. Oh, yeah, that one. I was going to bring it up, yeah. Great shot. It is a great shot. It's like slowly zooms in on him and he's just like looking around. It's awesome. Yeah. Which, you know, I know that the buildings are way bigger than Godzilla, but I didn't feel like they were towering over him. I did it in one shot, and that's the one right before he falls down. But otherwise... I felt like he could destroy all those buildings really easily. Yeah, well, it's a testament to his strength. He's just massive in that movie. Yeah. I don't... When I was a kid, I was confused, or even now, I don't love how he looks shockingly different when he comes out of the volcano in Biollante, but it makes him look more massive, and that's what I appreciate about the Heisei era. Godzilla just continued to get bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. Okay, so you're number 3. My number 3 honorable mention is another first appearance. G's first appearance in Terror of Mechagodzilla. I love that one. I don't know, it's so cool. I don't know it's a hero shot. I love hero shots. I love it. There's Titanosaurus gets blasted with his atomic breath. He falls down. There's an explosion behind Godzilla. Power Rangers-esque, I love it. And then the camera just zooms in, and there he is. Then the explosion stops, and his face is lit. And then he gives off that roar. I don't know, it's just awesome. And then I love how he's sort of shaking with the roar. Yeah, and then the music by that classic Godzilla theme starts up. Yeah.